As we've discussed, there are implications to transferring personal data across international borders. In our increasingly interconnected world, it's a very important consideration. Imagine you're an organization operating in both the European Union and the United States. You have employees, customers, and data in both regions. Now, transferring this personal data between the two locations isn't as simple as clicking send on an email. You need to ensure that the privacy and protection of this data is upheld in accordance with the laws and regulations of both regions. This is where the EU-US Privacy Shield comes in. Established in the year 2016, the Privacy Shield framework was designed to facilitate this very process, the transfer of personal data from the EU to the US. Its primary goal: to ensure adequate data protection in line with the stringent standards upheld by the European Union. So how does it work? The Privacy Shield is based on a set of key principles and protections. Organizations in the United States can voluntarily commit to these principles, which include aspects like data security, transparency, and accountability. Once a company is certified under the Privacy Shield, it can receive personal data from EU entities, offering a level of protection that satisfies EU data protection laws. The Privacy Shield, therefore, serves as a bridge connecting the different data protection landscapes of the EU and the US. It allows for the smooth flow of data while also maintaining the sanctity of individual privacy. This balance is crucial for international business operations, allowing companies to function effectively across borders without compromising on the privacy of their stakeholders. In essence, the Privacy Shield framework was created to protect personal data while enabling international business. It's been a key tool for many organizations, but as we'll discuss, its validity has been called into question, shaking the foundations of EU-US data transfers. In July 2020, a plot twist occurred that shook the established order. This came in the form of a ruling from the Court of Justice of the European Union known as the Schrems II decision. This judgment invalidated the EU-US Privacy Shield, a framework that had been facilitating personal data transfers between the two regions since 2016. The court's ruling was heavily influenced by concerns over US surveillance laws and their implications on data protection rights. The Privacy Shield, while designed to ensure adequate data protection, was found lacking when it came to safeguarding against unwarranted access to personal data by US public authorities. This revelation shook the very foundations of the Privacy Shield, leading to its invalidation. The immediate fallout of this decision was significant. Many organizations which had relied on the Privacy Shield for their data transfers found themselves in a quandary. The framework that had once provided them legal cover was now no more, leaving them exposed and scrambling for alternatives. But the ripples of the Schrems II decision went beyond just the invalidation of the Privacy Shield. It sparked a broader debate about data protection and privacy rights in the digital age. The court's ruling underscored the need for robust safeguards against unwarranted surveillance and highlighted the importance of individual privacy rights. Moreover, the Schrems II decision also underlined the inherent tension between governmental surveillance for national security purposes and the need for data privacy. It highlighted the challenges in striking a balance between these two often conflicting priorities, a conundrum that continues to be at the heart of many debates around data protection laws. In essence, the Schrems II decision was a wake-up call. It brought to the fore the vulnerabilities in existing data protection frameworks and the need for more robust mechanisms to safeguard personal data in the face of increasing digitalization and cross-border data flows. The Schrems II decision signaled a new era of legal uncertainty for EU-US data transfers. And as we move forward, it's clear that this decision will continue to shape the evolving landscape of international data transfers and data protection practices. The Schrems II decision sent shockwaves through the regulatory environment. In the blink of an eye, the landscape of international data transfers was changed forever. Suddenly, organizations relying on the Privacy Shield for data transfers found themselves in a legal limbo. The aftershocks of this decision continue to reverberate, increasing scrutiny on other transfer mechanisms. Standard contractual clauses, or SCCs, came under the spotlight. These clauses, used as a safety net for transferring personal data outside of the European Economic Area, were now being closely examined for their adequacy. The Schrems II decision had set a precedent. If the privacy shield could be invalidated, then no transfer mechanism was beyond questioning. This heightened scrutiny led to a new requirement: transfer impact assessments, or TIAs. These assessments are designed to evaluate the adequacy of data protection in the recipient country, a task that is easier said than done. Determining the level of data protection in another country can be a complex and time-consuming process, fraught with legal and technical challenges. Moreover, the Schrems II decision created a ripple effect of legal uncertainty. Suddenly, companies were faced with the daunting task of navigating the murky waters of EU-US data transfers. They had to grapple with complex questions about data protection, privacy rights, and global surveillance practices. But amidst the chaos and confusion, one thing became clear: data protection is not a static concept. It is a dynamic, evolving field that demands constant vigilance. Companies cannot afford to be complacent. They must be proactive, constantly reviewing and updating their data transfer agreements to align with current legal requirements. And so the Schrems II decision serves as a stark reminder of the importance of staying informed and adaptable in the face of regulatory change. It underscores the need for organizations to engage with data protection authorities for guidance and support. With the invalidation of the privacy shield, the search for alternatives began. This was a quest not for the faint-hearted, but for those who understood the immense value of data and the sanctity of privacy. One of the key alternatives that emerged was the reinforcement and updates to standard contractual clauses, or SCCs. These are contractual agreements between the data exporter and the data importer, designed to ensure that personal data leaving the European Economic Area will be transferred securely and with adequate protection. The SCCs have been updated to provide stronger protections and more clarity, becoming a more robust mechanism for transatlantic data transfers. In parallel, another strategy was taking root: the development and implementation of binding corporate rules, or BCRs. These are internal rules adopted by multinational companies to ensure a consistent level of data protection across their global operations. BCRs represent a comprehensive approach to data protection, covering not just data transfers, but all aspects of data handling within a multinational organization. They provide a way for these companies to demonstrate their commitment to data protection and to build trust with their stakeholders. But what about those situations that don't fit neatly into these mechanisms? That's where derogations come in. These are specific situations outlined in the General Data Protection Regulation, where data transfers can occur without the need for SCCs or BCRs. Examples include when the data subject has explicitly consented to the proposed transfer, or when the transfer is necessary for the performance of a contract. Derogations are not intended as a long-term solution, but rather as a temporary measure for specific situations. Despite the challenges, the quest for secure data transfer mechanisms continues. It's a journey that requires constant vigilance, adaptability, and a deep understanding of the ever-evolving landscape of data protection. But for those committed to the principles of privacy and data protection, it's a journey worth taking. While alternatives are explored, negotiations for a new framework are underway. This marks the beginning of a fresh chapter in the saga of EU-US data transfers. The European Commission and the US government are actively engaged in developing a new framework that can replace the invalidated privacy shield. Yet this task is anything but simple. The crux of the challenge lies in reconciling two inherently different approaches to data protection. On one hand, the European Union, with its stringent general data protection regulation, prioritizes the privacy rights of its citizens. On the other hand, the United States, with its focus on national security, has surveillance laws that have previously raised eyebrows in Europe. This divergence in perspectives is not merely a philosophical debate, it has very real implications for businesses on both sides of the Atlantic. Building a framework that satisfies the data protection standards of the EU while accommodating the security concerns of the US is a delicate balancing act. Yet it's not just about finding a middle ground. Any new framework must also withstand the scrutiny of the Court of Justice of the European Union, the very body that invalidated the privacy shield. It's a tall order, but the stakes are high. The future of transatlantic digital trade, which forms a significant part of the global digital economy, depends on it. While these negotiations are ongoing, it's crucial for organizations to monitor legal developments and regulatory guidance closely. In this era of uncertainty, one thing is clear: the old ways of transferring data across the Atlantic are no longer viable. A new approach, one that respects both the privacy rights of individuals and the security concerns of nations, is needed. As organizations, regulators, and governments grapple with this complex issue, the spotlight is firmly on the ongoing negotiations. This is the reality we face, an intriguing interplay between privacy, security, and commerce. The outcome, only time will tell. In these uncertain times, compliance has never been more critical. With the invalidation of the EU-US Privacy Shield, organizations are now required to conduct thorough transfer impact assessments, or TIAs, for data transfers to the United States. These assessments are crucial to ensure the adequacy of data protection in the recipient country. They evaluate the level of data protection in the receiving country and scrutinize the measures that the data exporter has in place to safeguard personal data. In the wake of the Schrems II decision, transfer impact assessments have become an essential tool to demonstrate compliance with EU data protection law. They provide a structured approach to assess the risks associated with data transfers and to implement appropriate safeguards. However, conducting a TIA is not a one-off activity. The changing regulatory environment necessitates regular review and update of these assessments. The same goes for data transfer agreements. As the legal requirements evolve, it's vital to ensure that these agreements are aligned with the current legal landscape. Moreover, these assessments and agreements should not be seen as bureaucratic hurdles, but rather as opportunities to reinforce trust. A robust data protection framework can enhance customer trust and business reputation, thereby contributing to the overall success of an organization. Engagement with data protection authorities is another key aspect of compliance. These authorities provide guidance and support, helping organizations navigate the complex world of data protection. By actively seeking their advice, organizations can ensure that they are on the right track towards compliance. Staying compliant is an ongoing journey, not a destination. What does the future hold for international data transfers? This question, while simple, carries with it the weight of our increasingly interconnected digital world. The landscape of international data transfers is continuously evolving, shaped by legal decisions, technological advancements, and shifts in societal values. The invalidation of the EU-US Privacy Shield in the Schrems II decision has paved the way for potential new legal frameworks. These frameworks will need to balance the needs of businesses to transfer data across borders with the fundamental rights of individuals to privacy and data protection. In this shifting terrain, the role of ongoing compliance efforts becomes even more critical. Organizations must stay alert, regularly updating their data transfer agreements and engaging with data protection authorities for guidance and support. Legal monitoring plays a pivotal role in this process. Legal professionals must keep a finger on the pulse of regulatory changes, court decisions, and guidance from data protection authorities. It's a complex task, but it's crucial for ensuring compliance and mitigating the risk of hefty fines or damaged reputations. But what's the bigger picture here? These developments in data transfer regulations have far-reaching implications for global digital trade. The way we handle personal data can influence trust in digital services, shape the competitive landscape, and even impact geopolitical relations. Moreover, these changes also have the potential to redefine data protection practices globally. As we grapple with these challenges, we have the opportunity to create a more robust and equitable framework for personal data protection, one that respects individual rights while enabling innovation and growth. While the future is uncertain, staying informed and adaptable is the key to navigating the changing regulatory environment. Remember, in the world of data protection, standing still is not an option. It's a journey, and we're all in this together. So where does this leave us? We've reviewed the EU-US Privacy Shield, understanding its purpose and principles. We've grappled with the momentous Schrems II decision that invalidated the Privacy Shield, shaking the very foundation of EU-US data transfers. The ripple effects of this decision have been far-reaching, prompting increased scrutiny on other transfer mechanisms and necessitating transfer impact assessments. We've explored alternatives to the Privacy Shield, delved into the ongoing efforts and negotiations for a new framework, and underscored the importance of compliance. Amidst these developments, one thing is clear: the landscape of international data transfers is ever evolving, and organizations must stay informed and adaptable. These shifts in the regulatory environment carry significant implications for EU-US data transfers and demand innovative compliance strategies. Remember, in this ever-changing digital world, knowledge is power. Stay informed, stay adaptable, and stay ahead.